Hello, League of Thrones. I'm Betty White. I might be dead, but when I was alive, there wasn't a man who wouldn't crawl on his hands and knees just for the chance to fuck me. I was the perfect sexual vacation. And speaking of vacations, this week's episode takes us on vacations with Scott and Andy.
The Throne Zone 2025 with Scott and Andy. The Throne Zone 2025 with Scott and Andy. The Throne Zone 2025 with Scott and Andy.
Welcome to the Throne Zone 2025 with your congenial hosts, Scott and Andy. I'm Andy.
And I'm Scott.
And this is the Week 7 action of the League of Thrones, the greatest fantasy football league in all of existence. And we're going to try to make this a quick one. We know we've been going almost close to a half hour. So instead of fucking around, why don't we just get to game number 1?
Game number 1.
Our first game this week is the Bad Guys over Double Trouble, 109 to 104, leaving both teams with a 4-3 record. It was a close game, low scoring, but it was close. Double Trouble leaves 57 on the bench. Jacob leaves 37 on the bench, so Double Trouble had started 100%. They would have won.
Yeah, this game was kind of back and forth, and I think Jamar Gibbs at the very end there for Detroit, and the Bad Guys came in and crushed Double Trouble streams. I think Nico Collins there for Houston also had something to say about it, but he came from a long way back. But both of these teams barely avoided getting the low man for the week. There's about 5 teams that all had within around close to about 6 to 10 points of each other. They were all kind of battling for the low man, and it ended up somewhere else. Both of these teams could have been the low man, but weren't, and I think Double Trouble costing themselves a lot of money by keeping Devontae Smith on that bench. And had they subbed him in for either Teatro McMillan, I don't know how to say his name. You wouldn't do him for Justin Jefferson, but either way, he would have won the game, but he did not. So sorry there, Alex and Skip. You guys are now down to 4-3. Just a normal human being now, down here with us mortals.
Jacob survives having his defense getting him negative points, a ongoing trend here in the League of Thrones. -3.
You know what? I don't get that with Jacob. I don't know why he can't stay away with it. He had Baltimore, and he couldn't get away from them, but now that he picked up Jacksonville with this -3, and that's 4. I think it might be a record of offensive-defensive penalties in our league. That's 4, at least, for him.
Well, Jacob's making a name for himself, then. Let's see what he does next week. I don't know.
Fantastic.
Yeah, like you said, it was a lot of low-scoring games this week, and they were kind of lucky that the two of them were in it, so at least Double Trouble felt like they had a shot. But the Bad Guys win. Both teams go to 4-3, and now, in a very similar situation, let's go to game number 2.
Game number 2.
All right, game number 2. We also had a very low-scoring but close game where the Muppet Babies over the Maharaja's Madness 109 to 105. You'll notice in both these first 2 games, those were almost identical scores. Nobody could get over 110, but nobody was under 104. So, whatever that means. Muppet Babies leaves 13 on the bench. The Maharaja leaves 22 on the bench. So if both teams would have been at 100%, Justin would have won 127 to 122.
Yeah, it's not Justin's world anymore, or league anymore. He has given his crown away, taken another loss. That's 4-3 now. And Muppet Babies, scrapping, trying to, again, their bench, they can't do much with it because other than his tight end, there's not much really that he would be adding to his score. He got a bunch of zeros on his bench, so I told him I was going to catch up with him, and it's starting to.
Well, I want to make fun of a guy for having a crappy bench like that, but he is also 4-3, so there's, it seems to be working for him.
Yeah, you're winning with 109 points. You can scrap here all the wins you want to. Do I sound bitter, Andy? Do I sound bitter?
Oh, we'll get to our game in a little bit. You have every reason to be bitter, as we're going to discuss.
I'm just not putting any stock in the records right now when you're beating teams and you're almost a low man. At 109, you get a win. At 10, what Jacob had, 109. Yeah. Both of them have 109, so they're almost low man, but they scratch out a win. I don't want to hear it. I'm done. I'm done with those guys. They're dead to me.
Yeah, it was 109 to 105 and 109 to 104, and everybody was pathetic. We looked down on you. Why did we make these the first 2 games? Those 2 shitty low scoring.
it makes me want to be a little bit more of an overlord in this commissioner role. It makes me want to go through and just give loss, just start throwing the L's out there, just for random angry reasons.
You are the commissioner. That is in your power if you just want to start randomly giving people a loss.
Oh.
All right, so now we have both of those games are over. Everybody in those games are at 4-3. And before we get into our league leader, Barstow, since we did just deal with Connor, why don't we get to our Connor fact of the week?
During the League of Thrones draft, Connor promised to provide a weekly personal fact about himself. Since he has failed to do this, we will provide one for him.
Most people wipe their ass from front to back. There are some weird people that go back to front. But Connor is not in either group. Connor likes to go side to side. Think about that for a moment. When Connor wipes his ass, he just goes side to side. That kid gets stranger and stranger every day.
This week's Connor fact has been sponsored by Alex. Before the games were even finished, Alex requested that I play the following video and dedicate it to Jacob. So I suggest everybody sit back and enjoy whatever the hell this goofy shit is. Jacob, I'm sorry. This is some weird hoodoo.
Jacob, what you know about Jacob? Jacob, a.k.a. Jacob. Jacob, wanna make a little gay love. Jacob, a.k.a. Jacob. Jacob, what you know about Jacob? Jacob, a.k.a. Jacob. Jacob, wanna make a little gay love. Jacob, a.k.a. Jacob. Lay on the couch and you smoke weed resin in your bathrobe at the old house. He was always drinking malt liquor 40s, doing hell in the cell workouts. Eat a dick, that's what you say. Anytime somebody hungry, and you couldn't marry Mason, so you married some girl with Mason as her last name. Jacob, what you know about Jacob? Jacob, a.k.a. Jacob. Jacob, wanna make a little gay love. Jacob, a.k.a. Jacob. Jacob, what you know about Jacob? Jacob, a.k.a. Jacob. Jacob, wanna make a little gay love. Jacob, a.k.a. Jacob. Congratulations, Jacob. You're gay and you're getting married. This is Froggy Fresh signing off. Peace.
Game number 3.
All right, our third game this week. It was a big win for Kelly and his Barstow Bats. They now have the best record of 5-2. Let's see, the Barstow Bats beat the Electric Mayhem 167 to 113. That's right, they mercy ruled him. Wasn't the high man, but that doesn't matter. He's still getting $5 for mercy ruling him. And Kelly only left 7 points on his bench. Brooks left 25, but it really didn't matter. So in case he's, kicking himself for not starting Bo Nix, doesn't matter. And Kelly, with McCaffrey and Chase both getting over 40 points, how are you not going to win that game?
Yeah, we would taunt you if you didn't win with two players hitting 40. That's 80 points just from two members. I did look at their defense, and he started the right defense at New England's 14, but I noticed that he had Schittsburg Steelers -1. Who'd they get that against? I don't know. I have no idea, but he didn't start him, so I guess that's a good call. Way to go, Kelly. Way to go.
Hey, he survived getting 0 points from a tight end and still put up a monstrous score. So
there was a lot. There was actually, I think, 3 or 4 tight ends this week that got zeros, and we don't give out fines for tight ends getting zeros, but maybe we should. Maybe got to pump that kitty.
Pump that kitty. Pump that kitty. All right, so with this win, like I said, Kelly goes to 5-2. He has the best record. Apparently he's posting in the league now that he's on top and it's his league and we're all lucky to be in it. And that's great. I love hubris. As we all know, after 7 weeks, we already know who the champion would be. I still think it's Justin's league, but that's just because it'll probably pull the rug out from under Justin even more when he doesn't get it.
I don't know. We know that Justin was going to collapse, and we all know Kelly is going to collapse. So just like those Las Vegas Raiders not showing up this week, I think we know what Kelly's going to do come the end of the season.
By the way, I don't know how many people watched the Raiders Kansas City game. I did, and about 2/3 of it was in Spanish. That was hilarious. So, also, Barstow and the bad guys, they both move on in the Kings tournament. I will say, the bad guys, they got lucky as fuck with that amazing Denver comeback that otherwise would have given Kelly the win. But they both move on. Kings tournament still goes on. I'm sure when that's over, we'll start KT2.
Well, I think in about 2 weeks or so, if they haven't settled down, we're going to and figure out a champion, we're going to go ahead and start KT2 as well, like we've done in the past. So I think by week 9, we'll be starting it again, but I will let everybody know.
That works for me, because as far as I'm concerned, KT1 is dead to me. I don't care who wins. Kelly, Jacob, fuck them both. All right, let's move on to game number 4.
Game number 4.
Our 4th game of the week, the CMK 95%, put a pretty good beating on Danny's Gaines Villains. That's right, even when you lose, I'll pronounce it correctly. Let's see, that was a 131 to 103 score. Both teams now go to 3 and 4. CMK was at a perfect 100%, which is kind of helpful when you have one empty bench slot you haven't filled, but it doesn't matter. He was perfect. And Danny could have won because he left 38 points on the bench, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. I'm sure he's glad about his Eagles. They did win, right?
So yeah, I noticed that Tony had that 100% manager efficiency rating, but I'm not sure. I was looking for kind of seeing it doing a little ring around the rosy with his Danny's lineup. I'm not sure he would have started Drake May over Baker Mayfield, but I think it's possible in a world he would do that. And but I definitely would have started Jalen Warren because Cincinnati does have a bad rush defense, but he didn't. He left him on the bench, and Danny ended up losing, and Danny ended up getting the low man for the week as well. With a 103.62, he was the low man. Although, like I said, there were 5 other teams that were really within striking distance of that. Everybody else, except for 3 teams, could have been the low man this week. Oh, 4 teams, actually. There's the top 4 teams were because CMK had 131 as well. So, yeah.
Well, that's embarrassing. All those low scores. They need to step it up, or maybe we'll find a reason to find them.
I love this weed thing over here.
Well, you know, I've got the ear of the commissioner, so I figure maybe I can make suggestions.
Nice.
All right, so yeah, like I said, both Gaines Villains and the CMK, they both go to 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's anybody's league, kind of.
Oh, everyone's really close together. I'm in the bottom with only 2 wins, but that's only 3 wins away from Kelly right now, and we're only halfway through. We're not even halfway through, so we'll be halfway through next week.
That's right. Anything can happen. And before anything can happen, though, we should get to our final game of the week. Let's talk about the all-important game number 5.
Game number 5.
Game number 5, a game very important to myself and to my co-host Scott. It was the San Dimas Wild Stallions going up against the Walt Disney Imp Daddies. I believe last week we decided it was Lurie versus McGee. And well, I gotta say, I do feel bad for you, Scott, because I was the high man. I had 169 points, but you had 128 points. I think you had the 4th highest score in the league.
Yeah, 4th highest, but there were 3 other people that could have beat me, and I played one of them. I played the high man. So if I'd have played you, Tony, or Kelly, I would have lost. But if I played any of those other morons out there, I could have won, but I didn't. I lost, and I look good. I feel good about my team. So I got good production. Everybody's doing pretty well. I played the wrong tight end, but you know what? I checked the injury report. I really did, and it said that what's his name, Kittle was going to play. So which is why I had his backup in there. He was getting 15 to 20 points. So I had the right, at least at the time I thought it was a good play, and I should have played Hoxie. It still wouldn't have got me the win, but was my only. But as far as my lineup goes, that was the only one I felt bad about. So. Oh, well.
Look, Scott, there was nothing you could do. San Dimas, we're on fire right now. I mean, trust me, we're going to implode. We're going to have a crash so bad. But second week in a row we were the high man. I only left 8 points on the bench. No matter what anybody else in the league would have done, if they'd have been at 100%, I'm still the high man. And it's a bad break for you. You could have been up to 144. But again, you're going up against San Dimas right now. I'm going to say we're the hottest team in the league, the best looking, and the smartest, the most clever.
I don't know, clever. You're leaving Joe Flacco on the bench, and you just letting him just kind of fester away there. Come on now, let's make a trade here. Let's make a breaking news trade offer. McGee offers Lurie trade offer for Joe Flacco. What you want, Andy? What you want for Joe Flacco?
I'll tell you what I want for. Okay, I don't want to normally use the show for this shit, but I'll just say this right now. I will happily let Joe Flacco go if somebody can give me a respectable replacement for the fucking corpse of Breece Hall. Okay? I lost James Conner to an injury. Everybody loses players' injury. I'm not saying I'm cursed, but when that happened, I was left using Breece Hall as my number 2 running back, and he's gotten me under 10 points the last 2 weeks. Maybe not combined, but he's got me under 10 points, each week. Now, granted, I got Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor is, I think, the number one fantasy player right now. Great. Lucky for me. But so if anybody wants to get good old Joe Flacco, offer me a running back that I would consider starting over Breece Hall.
Well, I can give you a running back you would start over Breece Hall, but it wouldn't be that much more over Breece Hall. My two starters are solid, but I don't have any backups that you would be happy about unless Alvin Kamara goes down, and then I'll have his backup, and he'd be worse in value. But right now, I can't offer you a running back. Damn it.
Well, I can respect that, but let's take this offline because, again, I'm trying to keep these to going a little bit shorter. And the last thing everybody in the league wants to do is go, oh, no, let's just tune in and listen to Scott and Andy make a trade between themselves. Or maybe I have self-loathing. Maybe everybody does want to hear that. That pretty much wraps up the San Dimas Walt Disney game. I go to 4-3. Like you mentioned, you're at 2-5. We've got a bunch of teams at 4-3 in this league.
Still not the worst thing. I'm still not the worst.
No.
Thank goodness for Electric Mayhem.
And in fact, if we take a look ahead, we're going to see about you and the Electric Mayhem in a minute. So here's our look ahead.
Yo, it's a look ahead to all the action for next week.
All right, in our look ahead, Barstow with their 5-2 record will be playing the bad guys at 4-3, and then San Dimas and the Maharaja are facing each other.
Ooh.
So that could be a good game here.
Battle of Titans.
I'm not going to deny it. I'm a little afraid, and yet at the same time, I'm looking forward to it. So both of us have 4-3 records. Muppet Babies at 4-3 are going to take on CMK, who are 3-4, and Double Trouble at 4-3 is going to take on the Gaines Villains, who are also 3-4. And in a game where somebody is destined to end up with 3 wins at the end of it, the Walt Disney Imp Daddies at 2-5 are taking on the 2-5 Electric Mayhem. It's a shame you guys can't get 2 wins out of this.
Well, they beat me in week 5 when Brooks went to the swamp. That was his first week in the swamp. And he beat me 102-90. Beat me by 12 points when his son was putting in crazy players, and yet I took the loss. One of my losses is to Brooks. I can't have another loss to Brooks. I've got to come strong. I'm going to come strong. Brooks, you're going down. Down, back to the swamp. Going to put you back under the muddy water, my friend.
As the host of the wrap-up show, I shouldn't play favorites, but I'm rooting for you, Scott. I'm rooting for you because it's much more fun when you're in a good mood than when you're a sour prick. So...
Well, I think I speak for everyone when I think that makes 2 of us.
Oh, hey, trust me.
That makes 2.
Trust me. Winning, it's better than losing. All right. I think that's all that we've got this week here on the Throne Zone 2025. I know there are a lot of you that were hoping to get another 45-minute show so you can sit on the toilet while you have your morning grumpy and have something to watch, but we're going to keep this one a little short, but don't worry, I'm sure in the future Scott and I will break off into a random conversation about Fight Club or Goodfellas or something that has no fucking business being on a wrap-up show about fantasy football. Mm-hmm. As you can hear, my voice is starting to fade anyway, so that's why we're going to be cutting it close. So this has been the Throne Zone 2025. I have been grateful to be here. I'm Andy.
And I'm that good-looking man right there. I am Houday McGee. That's right. Houday. Houday talking about beat them imp daddies. Houday. This week.
Hey, I will say this, Scott. Last week, you and I were the only ones who had the Bengals winning, so high five for you.
Houday!
All right, a virtual high five. Ain't no better way than to end a show. See you guys next week.
The Throne Zone 2025.